The Philippines is a land of stunning beauty. It has tropical islands and warm, welcoming people. Yet beneath this paradise lies a constant hidden danger. This nation lives with the ever-present threat of earthquakes. For Filipinos, this is a fundamental part of their reality. The earth beneath their feet is not always still. Nature's breathtaking landscapes in this region also signify powerful, underlying forces. It means living with a certain awareness and knowledge that the ground can shake at any moment. This reality shapes their lives and their preparedness. The reason for this seismic activity is clear. The Philippines sits directly on the Pacific Ring of Fire. This is a vast, horseshoe-shaped belt around the Pacific Ocean. It is famous for its intense volcanic and earthquake activity. Most of the world's earthquakes occur along this ring. Great tectonic plates, giant pieces of Earth's crust, meet here. These plates are not static. They grind against each other, push and pull. This constant interaction makes the Ring of Fire an incredibly dynamic and geologically active zone. The Philippines is right in the middle of this powerful natural stage. This relentless tectonic plate movement is the engine driving earthquakes. Imagine colossal slabs of rock trying to move past one another. They don't always glide smoothly. Often they get stuck. Stress builds up along their edges, deep within the Earth's crust. This immense pressure accumulates over years, sometimes centuries. Eventually, the stress overcomes the friction holding the rocks. The rocks suddenly break and shift. This abrupt release of stored energy creates seismic waves. These waves radiate outwards, shaking the ground. We experience this shaking as an earthquake. It is a raw display of Earth's power. The very nature of the Philippine archipelago contributes to its vulnerability. The country is composed of over 7,000 islands. This fragmented geography often means less stable landmasses compared to large continental interiors. Much of the land is geologically young, formed by volcanic activity and plate collisions. Numerous fault lines, which are fractures in the Earth's crust, crisscross these islands. These faults are the pathways for seismic energy release. Consequently, almost every part of the Philippines faces some degree of earthquake risk. Understanding this widespread geological setting is the first step towards addressing the threat effectively. Earthquakes are not random events. They typically originate along specific geological features known as fault lines. These are essentially large cracks or fractures in the Earth's crust. The rock masses on either side of a fault are constantly trying to move. When this movement happens suddenly, it generates an earthquake. The Philippines is riddled with such fault lines. Some are relatively small and cause minor tremors. However, others are extensive and capable of producing devastating earthquakes. These major fault lines are like deep scars on the planet, marking zones of immense stress and potential danger. One of the most significant threats to the Philippines is the West Valley Fault. This fault is particularly dangerous due to its location and potential power. It stretches for approximately 100 kilometers. Worryingly, it runs directly through Metro Manila and its surrounding densely populated provinces. Millions of people live and work along its path. Scientists from the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, Flabergast, estimate that this fault can generate a massive earthquake, possibly reaching a magnitude of 7.2. Such an event would cause intensity 8 ground shaking, leading to catastrophic damage to infrastructure and potentially collapsing 12% to 13% of buildings in the affected areas. Another critical seismic source is the Manila Trench. This is a massive underwater fault system located west of Luzon in the South China Sea. Trenches like this are formed where one tectonic plate subducts or dives beneath another. The Manila Trench is capable of generating exceptionally powerful earthquakes, with potential magnitudes exceeding 8.0. Earthquakes originating from such offshore trenches also pose a significant tsunami risk. A major rupture along the Manila Trench could unleash towering tsunami waves, potentially reaching heights of up to 10 meters, devastating coastal communities in Manila and nearby regions. The Philippine Trench, on the country's eastern side, is another generator of powerful tremors. The danger is not confined to just these two major systems. The Philippines is crisscrossed by numerous other active faults. For instance, southwestern Luzon alone hosts a complex network of faults, including the Lubang Fault, the Verde Fault System, the Balayan Fault, and the Aglubang River Fault. Scientists are continually discovering and mapping new fault systems, such as the recently identified Lobo Fault System and Calubcub Fault in Batangas Province. This extensive network of active faults underscores the widespread nature of the seismic hazard. It means that many communities across the archipelago must be prepared for the possibility of strong ground shaking. The ground in the Philippines frequently reminds its inhabitants of the underlying seismic forces. Recent seismic activity continues to highlight this persistent threat. For example, a magnitude 1.5 jolt, though minor, was recorded near the West Valley fault line in Bulacan province in March 2025. More significantly, on January 20, 2025, a magnitude 5.5 earthquake struck offshore between Mindoro and Luzon Islands, causing noticeable shaking in Metro Manila. Reports indicate an increase in seismic activity in various regions since 2020, with both shallow earthquakes, which can cause more intense surface damage, and intermediate depth earthquakes felt over wider areas being recorded. The nation's history is punctuated by devastating earthquakes that serve as grim reminders of its vulnerability. In August 1976, a powerful magnitude 8.1 earthquake and subsequent tsunami struck the Moro Gulf near Mindanao and Sulu Islands, tragically claiming around 8,000 lives. More recently, the 1990 Luzon earthquake, with a magnitude of 7.7, caused widespread destruction and resulted in at least 2,000 fatalities. In 1994, a magnitude 7.1 earthquake in Mindoro generated a destructive tsunami, further highlighting the diverse hazards associated with seismic events in the archipelago. These historical events are etched in the collective memory, underscoring the devastating potential of future quakes. Looking ahead, experts paint a sobering picture of the potential impacts of a future major earthquake. If the West Valley Fault were to rupture, the consequences for Metro Manila and surrounding areas could be catastrophic. Projections suggest that such an event could lead to over 50,000 deaths. Hundreds, if not thousands, of buildings could be flattened, trapping countless individuals. Furthermore, the earthquake could trigger secondary disasters like landslides and tsunamis, particularly in coastal areas of Manila Bay. The economic disruption would be immense, crippling the nation's capital and requiring years, possibly decades, for recovery and rebuilding. Several factors exacerbate the potential devastation. Many existing buildings and critical infrastructure across the Philippines may not be designed or constructed to withstand very strong earthquakes. Older structures are particularly at risk. This vulnerability is compounded by the high population density in urban centers, especially Metro Manila, one of the world's most populous metropolitan areas. When a powerful earthquake strikes a densely populated city with vulnerable infrastructure, the potential for mass casualties and widespread destruction increases dramatically. Addressing these underlying risks is a critical challenge for the nation's disaster preparedness efforts. The scientific community, particularly seismologists and geologists, consistently emphasizes the urgent need for preparedness. Teresito Bacolcol, the director of the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, PHIVOLCS, has been a vocal advocate for enhanced structural safety and comprehensive disaster preparedness plans. He stresses that Metro Manila, due to the West Valley Fault, requires special attention. These warnings are not meant to cause panic, but to galvanize action. They are based on rigorous scientific research and an understanding of the region's geological makeup. Heeding these expert calls is essential for safeguarding communities and minimizing potential losses. In response to these ever-present threats, Philippine government agencies and research institutions are actively working to mitigate risks. PHIVOLCS has undertaken detailed mapping of active faults, especially in critical regions like southwestern Luzon, using advanced technologies like high-resolution topographic and bathymetric data. They have also released valuable tools such as the Seismic Hazard Atlas for the Design Earthquake of the Philippines, SHADE-PH. This atlas provides crucial ground motion maps to guide engineers in designing safer, more earthquake-resistant buildings. Furthermore, the Tsunami Early Warning System, TWS, and the Philippine Tsunami Network are operational, aiming to provide timely advisories to coastal populations. Strengthening the nation's infrastructure is a cornerstone of earthquake preparedness. There is a growing recognition that existing building codes need to be updated and rigorously enforced. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s office has urged local government officials to conduct regular inspections of buildings to ensure their structural integrity. Lawmakers are also pushing for amendments to the country's 47-year-old National Building Code to incorporate modern engineering standards and make infrastructure more resilient to seismic events. Efforts are also underway to retrofit older, vulnerable structures, particularly critical facilities like hospitals and schools, to improve their ability to withstand strong ground shaking. Ultimately, creating a culture of preparedness requires the active participation of every citizen. Public awareness campaigns are crucial for educating communities about earthquake risks and safety measures. Regular earthquake drills, such as the nationwide simultaneous earthquake drills, NSED, are conducted in schools, offices, and communities to practice evacuation procedures and emergency responses. Disseminating accurate information through various channels helps people understand what to do before, during, and after an earthquake. Alongside these efforts, continuous scientific research into fault mechanics and earthquake forecasting is vital for refining risk assessments and improving preparedness strategies. Building a resilient Philippines is a shared responsibility.